Hello, Team Absolution fans far and wide. It is I, the Captain Jose, another Team Absolution Damage Check Live, bringing you the news, spoilers, everything and the like. I'm joined with, first things first, the Phantom Nate, emerging from his phantomy shadows one time. And then I also have the Sixth Ranger himself, emerging when other Rangers can't. The Sixth Ranger.
when all else have fallen, I emerge from the shadows of whence I came.
So we're going to give it a few minutes for everyone to come in. For those of you watching the archive, you're going to want to jump ahead about 3 minutes from now. The actual beginning of... I pick random minutes to see if you guys paid attention. That's why. I hope you know that. Random viewer in the distance.
But they're going to be skipping this part, so they won't hear it anyway.
Well, in the meantime, people in the chat, should I get... Well, I guess it doesn't really matter since Fortnite's free. But should I get PUBG, yes or no, this week?
Hey, it's officially releasing, right? Like it's coming out this week, like officially being released.
Yeah, I think it has its full release, which is why it wasn't considered as Game of the Year, because a lot of people wanted to consider it Game of the Year, but people were like, it's not a full game because it doesn't have an official release. You can't consider it for. It can't be Game of the Year if it isn't a game yet.
I mean, it only has one map, so. Yeah.
I mean, I agree. And look, apparently, Nate, you're looking pretty crisp according to the chat.
Yeah, Nate's got like a 1080p camera or something. It's ridiculous.
It's a pretty camera. Actually, I think it's the same camera I have, though, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, but Jose, your network is like garbage. So.
No, my network's a lot better now, though. It
is better. It's a lot better. You can actually see you move, but like it's still downgrading your signal.
Sad.
It's instead of 1 frame per 3 seconds, now it's like 30 frames per second.
Oh, that's good. At least I'm playable, I guess.
You're not just like a PowerPoint slide anymore. That's nice.
It's nice. You're crisp, not as good as Nate though. It's the white background. Oh, that's true. I guess I could put some on the back here. Green screen. Oh, that'd be funny.
You could do a green screen. You could get just put like a little green screen curtain behind your chair.
Then I could actually do like full react. I have like episodes of G back here and just be like, man, what's going on with this guy and this guy? And even why are these guys even playing?
Oh, do people play games in the anime? You didn't know that.
No, they're just saving the world. It's fine.
People die in the anime.
I don't know.
I've children's card game. You die for real.
I saw like a giant rock fall on Shion and he didn't die, so I'm just saying I really don't think they do.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, we're going to take a good start here with Damage Check Live. I'm so happy you guys are joining us today. All right, so a lot has happened over the last 7 days, mostly in the last like 2 or 3, to be honest. But as always, we're going to start with the spoiler reel. I've got it up and ready to go. We're going to start with November 30th spoiler, which was the last GR of the set, I believe, right? Yeah, the last GR of the set. Omniscience Dragon Barawul? I must go with that. It's a stride act once per turn, Soul Blast 1. And choose a energy on turn and face up. Choose any number of your front row units, and they get auto Vanguard Rear Guard. When this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, draw a card. Until the end of turn, those units get power plus 4K for each face-up card in your G zone. And at the end of the turn, retire all the Rear Guards chosen due to this effect. All right, so let's go ahead and I'll open it up to. Let's start with Nate. Nate, you got any ideas about this card?
It's great nature. I figured that part out, guys. 4K draw, retire. Cool. Yeah, I like it. I mean, it seems like... I mean, I don't know, Andrew might have better insight than me, but it seems like a really decent, like, first stride. like on your first stride turn when they have damage to give, like just throw out a board, say every time I hit, I draw. So enjoy. Have no counterblast or let me draw a hand. Thanks, guys.
It's actually
But
not
that's
bad.
me.
Talk about rush to GB8.
Yeah.
Drop these on the board. All right, Andrew, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I could see it. At first, I thought it was like, oh, GR, like it's a bad GR because it has to on hit. But as a first stride, it's actually remarkable. I like that you're almost certainly not going to go into this guy 4 times. So you don't have to buy 4 copies of this GR. You need 1 or 2 for first stride, and maybe second stride, but probably not. And so first stride, you know, like plus 4K to your front row, on hit, draw a card. It's a lot of good pressure. That's usually when your opponent wants to take damage. I like it. It is good first stride. You don't need more than 2. And I like that too.
I will agree. I mean, 4 of GRs are just not okay, and I think 2 of GRs are solid. And then, yeah, this is. I mean, I really like this card. I feel like it's gonna be. I think it's actually gonna see a lot of play. You're gonna see this a lot more than you're gonna see like other late stride GRs, for example. I think this will see. You're gonna see people drop this a lot. And then, so the next card we've got in the same spoiler, the same like list of spoilers there, is Artistic Ocelot. Artistic Ocelot. Auto, Vanguard Rearguard, once per turn. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, choose one of your other rearguards, and you may have that unit get +4K until the end of turn. If you do, at the end of that turn, retire that unit. And the second skill is Act, Rearguard. Once per turn, Generation Break 1. Counterblast 1. If you have a Vanguard with Big Belly in its card name, choose one of your other rear guards. It gets +4K at the end of that turn. And at the end of that turn, draw a card and retire that unit. I'm going to start with Andrew here. What are your thoughts on this guy?
It's Binoculus Tiger. It's straight up Binoculus Tiger with a Big Belly upside, right? Because Binoculus was the whole on attack, choose something, give a 4K, retire it. Now you can counterblast 1 to give another 4K and draw if you have Big Belly. So like, it's a better Binoculus Tiger. In Big Belly, it's good, but I don't actually know what Big Belly does, so I don't think it's amazing.
Makes sense. Nate?
I like it a lot. It does something on the Vanguard if you get unfortunate enough to ride it, and it does something on the rear guard. I like those. Those are handy.
I would have to agree with Nate's point on that. It does something on the Vanguard rear guard. It is a strictly better Binoculus in terms of that it does more things. And it's not GB. Its Binoculus skill isn't G-Break. So it's not like another unit that is kind of like Binoculus Tiger. It is Binoculus Tiger just with extra stuff attached.
It's just strictly better Binoculus Tiger.
I feel like people who want to play Big Belly will play this. But I feel like right now Big Belly's not shaping to be the Great Nature build. I think people are talking combo cats right now. So pick this up and who knows what will happen in the future. If it's cheap. So the next card we're going to go to is... Okay, I do want to give an honorable mention to this Machining Crit just because it's really good. It's a common, but it's a really good common crit. It's GB1, return it to the deck, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, and it can't stand into your opponent's next stand. It can't stand during your opponent's next stand phase. Shuffle your deck. That's just really good for it to be a crit and for it to go back in the deck. If this card went into the soul, I would be like, okay, this card's fine. But it doesn't. It goes back in the deck. And crits that go back in the deck and stun things, that's dangerous. Quick, Nate, you got anything? Crit, solid, yes?
Yeah, why not?
It's a good time card. Nate, Andrew, any words there?
One thing to say for this: imagine soul charging this randomly, calling it out at rest, and then putting it back to the deck for free. Don't even lose a card from hand.
What a time to be alive. Next we've got a few more Mega Colony spoilers. I'm gonna go through both of these. I know we usually don't go through comments, but I do want to cover these because they are pretty interesting. So Vulgar Blister is a 7K grade 2. So let's all preface that. Continuous. If this unit is in the front row, all of your opponent's rear guards in the same column as this unit cannot stand during your opponent's stand phase. And continuous rear guard. You may pay. Choose a Vulgar Blitzer on your rear guard and retire it as the cost of a G unit with Dark Device ability for Stride. So you can basically retire this for Stride for a Dark Device ability unit. The first skill is the one that I think is really good about this card. However, it is a 7K grade 2. Let me open it up. I'm gonna start with Andrew. Andrew, what do you think?
I hear some people thinking it's like, oh, it's a really good card. You run it at a 4. I'm thinking if you ride this, you're in for a world of hurt, and he doesn't have a Vanguard skill, so you can't like not stand the booster or whatever. I think it's really good. You'd probably run him at like 2 or 3. I don't know if I'd run him at 4, but his skill is really, really good. Imagine just Gridoring, right? You stun the column, they can't stand, and they can't call anything there. I guess they could intercept, but like, oh, whoop-de-doo, you intercepted. Hooray. It's a good card.
Nate, you got anything?
Yeah, I think Andrew hit it with the 2. I like 2 of it. It's like a solid utility. Like, I just don't want you to do things, so you won't.
I think I will agree with that. And I'll also add this caveat. The stream has already commented this, and I think it's the most important part of this card at all, is that this is straight rush hate. Because you drop down this on the board, and if you're playing against 7C's Rush, for example, and you drop this, their grade 1s that are so valuable to them aren't going to get to stand, which means they have to call over their grade 1s with the very few grade 1s they probably have in their resource pool. So I think it's really good against Rush decks as well. It slows them down, and that's the best you can do when you're playing against Rush. So the next card we have here, Ink Defense Mutant Black Weevil. It's a PG. So choose a card from your hand, PG stuff. Choose one unit with Dark Face. So it's Dark Face specific. Forgot about that part. So it's really only going to protect Vanguards in most situations. It has to protect Dark Face. And then Act Drop Zone. You choose 2 of this from the drop zone and bind them face up. You draw a card, you countercharge 1, or soul charge 1. You draw 1 and you do one or the other. I'm gonna start off with this one. I actually don't really like this PG. It's nice to get both, but the 2 seems kind of hefty for me. But that's just me. Andrew, you got anything?
I honestly don't know how soul heavy or counterblast heavy the Mega Colony support is going to be for Darkface. But let's say you compare this to like the countercharge one, right? The countercharge PG, when you guard, countercharge if you have 1 and drop. So at most you'll countercharge 3 times. With this card, at most you'll countercharge twice because you have to bind 2 copies at most. But you also get to draw cards off of it. So I guess it's really going to be whether or not Mega Colony is going to have issues with countercharging, because if you need to countercharge a lot, you want to use the countercharge PG. But if you'd rather draw cards, the draw card for bind 2 is really relevant. Like it's sort of just a free draw, right? Like you guard, you play the game normally, then you just draw a card off of it.
Nate, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, it's just really underpowered, I think, compared to a lot of other PGs like Shadow Paladins, where it's just cycling them back all day long. And yeah, I think if I were playing the deck, I think I would definitely prefer the standard countercharge, because like Andrew said, you're going to get 1 extra countercharge out of it. And let's be honest, if you're a Mega Colony player, you got a Stride that can draw you 5 cards in 1 turn, not counting drive checks. So are you really desperate for those extra 2 draws? Maybe, maybe not.
You really hurt for it?
Yeah. So, yeah.
I would actually agree with Nate's point too. I mean, even if you want to consider, I don't think every clan should get a recycle PG. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that this one is a lot underpowered compared to other PGs.
I don't think any clan should get a recycle PG.
I mean, Nuba's is really nice to recycle, and I like it. Uras is just stupid. The Shadow one is just dumb. Lien is also stupid, but Lien is stupid for a different reason. It's not a recycle PG, it's just super free. That's very different.
Like,
But
I'm okay
it's
with
also
PGs like that. The problem is when you PG 7 times in a game. That's when I run into issues.
no, I absolutely agree. It's just I think that there are ways to make broken PGs that aren't all recycling. Lien is a very good example of a PG that doesn't recycle, but it's still really good.
Narukami PG, where it cycles itself.
Please no. So yeah, that's my general thought there on PG. So that's why this one's underwhelming to me. Is because like, yeah, compared to like Recycle and other type of PGs you've seen in the past, it's not packing as much. So Musketeer players far and wide, your time has come. You get a new Cecilia. So main tier Captain Virginial Cecilia. So it's a stride, it's a double R. Act, counter blast 1, soul blast 1, choose the face down card from your G zone. So persona flip. And then choose up to 5 of your rear guards and retire them. Look at 7 cards from the top of your deck, call for the same number of cards with Musketeer in their card name from them to 7 rear guards, the same as retired units. And they get power plus 3k until the end of turn for each face-up card with Musketeer in its card name in the G zone. Shuffle your deck. I will just start off by saying this. I want a similar stride for Jewel Knights. Just saying. Granted, I don't have the deck anymore. Actually, I don't want it for Jewel Knights. Forget everything I just said.
Wait, do Jewel Knights have a stride? Do they have a Jewel Knight named Stride?
Yeah, they have like that
They got one
Saint Guard clone thingy that I hate.
Yeah, they had like a Saint God clone one. I forget what her name was. I think it was like Crystalline or something like that. Anyways, so Nate, what are your thoughts here on Little Miss Musketeer?
I mean, it's fine, I guess, if you're playing Musketeers. Like, it's relatively cheap. CB1 Persona Flip. It's not expensive. It lets you refresh your board, which is what Musketeers are all kind of about. And it gives itself a little bit of power, but I think my greater issue is, why are you playing Musketeers? Like, what are Musketeers doing in this day and age, you know? And that's my thought.
That's true. That's a completely valid point. What are Musketeers even doing here? The guy's dead. Why?
They're rushing you out at Nationals, Jose. That's what they're doing.
You're not wrong. Andrew, what do you think?
I don't think this is what Musketeers needed, but it's something that they can use at least, because the whole power plus 3k for each face-up card in your G zone is really nice, right? Like you stride into this third, and everything gets plus 15,000, and so you've got pretty big power lines then. My concern is that it's a break even, right? You have to retire some number, and you get to call that many to the board and give them all the power. So you have to have 5 units on the board to retire. So essentially, you're dropping your whole hand. But with clans like Kagero and Link Joker and Narukami all running around the meta right now that can demolish your entire board, how often are you going to be able to keep a board to retire the next turn to call more Musketeers? It's not going to happen. It's just not. So I like the card by itself. In this meta, it's just not that good. The power gain's really nice, but otherwise it's not very good.
Andrew, I think you pitched the perfect flavor text for the card. At least it's usable.
I'll cover really quick Daphne, because the one thing I'm really liking is somebody asked a question last week about stride foders and how it felt to have stride foders in every deck, and like how it was kind of like skeleton building, because you were like, all right, every Vanguard deck starts with, your 4 main grade 3 4 stride fodder. At least the 4 main grade 3 and then 4 stride fodder. But at least now we're getting creative stride fodders. Whether they be good, whether they be bad, they still exist. And, so Musketeers get one as well. Stride fodder skill. And then when this unit is discarded for the cost of stride, if you're a Vanguard with Musketeer, kind of bust 1. If you do, look at the top 4, call 1, and shuffle your deck. So that's kind of nice. It's not terrible, but it's good. I'll open it up for either one of you because it's kind of generic, but I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, it's generic. I compare it to the deleters one, where deleters is like when you stride for a deleter, kind of less one, call the stride fodder. This one is slightly better in that you could find something better, like an attacker instead of a booster, in case depending on what your hand looks like. But at the same time, it's also more RNG, right? And Gold Paladin players know exactly what it feels like when you check the top 4 and wish that you could have called that stride fodder instead.
That's true. Nate, you got anything on the stride fodder? To me, it's pretty generic. So
Yeah, I'm good.
all right, so
it's adequate.
I'm gonna hit these really, really fast. So follow along with me, because these are the Stargate reveals. I want to cover them because we're finally done with the whole Zoo Nation. Zoo Nation is done.
Yes.
But now it's time to go back into Link Joker, Stargate. Let's dive in. Brat of Many Worlds interpretation. I respect the name. Generation Break 1, this unit gets plus 4K for each one of your lock cards. Great Messiahs, bad in everything else. Moving on.
They're not even good Messiahs. Don't run this card. It's terrible.
Dimensional Robo Pilot Matthew. This is a forerunner. It's a starter. Cannonboss 1 and put this into your soul. Look at the top 3 cards from your deck. Add the Dimensional Robo card with the highest power among them to your hand. And if that card is a grade 3, countercharge 1. Put the rest of the cards in your drop zone. I really would still run the other one, Diehawk.
The one that lets you stride?
Yeah, that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
In this meta, yes. This is Legion's. This is Legion fodder.
Yeah, that would have been a great Legion card. Holy garbage. That would have been so good.
Yeah, it's free cycle to a grade 3, put 2 in the drop. That's Legion fodder right there. But we're in stride meta right now. We don't need Legion fodder.
It's coming back. Trust me.
I'm definitely going to stand by it. I do think that you stick with Diehawk because it allows you to stride when you go first, and that's okay. And that's okay. And the last card I'm going to go over is Extreme Battler Ninjard. This is Nova Grapplers. They're still a clan. They're still a clan.
I lost to it horribly last night.
So, auto rearguard once per turn, Generation Break 1, counterbots 1. When this unit attacks, if you have Vanguard with Victor in its card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to one of your other rearguards, stand it, and for each face-up card in your G zone, that unit and this unit gets power plus 2K until the end of turn. Man, that's good. That is silly. That is silly.
That's right.
Yeah, because you're making your line beefier and the next subsequent line beefier. Thank you, that. Granted, this isn't an amazing. And let me, I'll open up to Andrew. This isn't probably. I mean, Nate. This isn't an amazing, like, beginning rush card, but like when you get in the mid-late game.
So here's what you do. This doesn't replace Cool Hank. Though it's close, Cool Hank is always 5K, and I like 5K, so Cool Hank stays. This replaces your Aberrail. Why? Because it's still once per turn, it's still on attack, it's cheaper in that it doesn't cost a soul, it only costs the CB, and Aberrail only gives itself 2K, and the other one 2K, I think. But this one can give as many K as it wants to. So, at worst, it is one Soul Blast cheaper than Aberrail. At best, it's one Soul Blast cheaper and a lot more power. So, that's what it replaces. And it's a common.
I agree. I just think,
there you go.
Oh, man. The later you get in the game, that's so good. All right. I don't know if Andrew's back. Are you back, Andrew?
I'm back, yeah.
All right. So, you got any thoughts here on Ninja?
I guess it's fine. Stand it. Like you're expecting to get what? Like plus in mid to late game, you expect to get something like plus plus 6k or plus 8k, maybe plus 10k to your units. I guess that's fine, but like getting an extra stage, no, that's pretty good actually. You get a restand, you get an extra stage to both your columns. No, that's relevant. That's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. I concur. All right. So now that we're done with that, let's cover the news, which we already know the big news of the day. So yesterday, Bushiroad did their strategy thing, whatever you want to call it, and for the next set or whatever. And set 14 has been announced. It exists. It is a set. It is known as Dragon Deities Chronicles. All right, so this set, I think, is going to wrap up the G era in a nice little bow for us. Because we get support for Royal Paladin, Shao Paladin, Genesis, Nubatama, Dark Irregulars, Gear Chronicle, and Cray Elementals. There are 100 cards, 3 reprints, 97 new cards, 100 cards total, 3 ZRs, 2 GRs, 9 triple Rs, 13 double Rs, 24 Rs, 49 commons, 12 SPs, plus 6 secret rares, and then 3 special reprints. So the normal reprints are going to be Pure Love Succubus, Pulsar Revolver Draco Kid, and Pulsar Hypnotic Sheep. And the special reprints are Knight of Heavenly Decree Atmile, which is a really good choice, Drago Wizard Morfessa, and Rikudo Stealth Dragon Sukamurakan, which I think is a great choice as well, because that card is, if you're playing Nubas, you got to at least play one of those, because Andrew can attest that that card changes the game.
That it does. That it does.
So, as far as what we're getting in the set, we're going to get a new Shiranui, a new Atmile, and a new Minerva unit. If you're jumping right now because it's the first time that you heard it, Minerva's already gone. Save yourself some time from going TCG Player. It's
You're too
over.
late. Sorry.
You missed the hype. The Minervas are gone.
No,
So,
they're
that being
a few
said,
guys. Calm
They're just
down.
like $12 now or something, I think.
They're from 12 to 30. So
yeah, that's
can
Minerva. Vanguard
enjoy.
price.
Dude, I haven't seen Minerva for $30 since BT14. The original BT14.
I remember trading my Minerva decks for Bermuda Triangle SPs, and I still think that was more worth.
So, and we're also going to get the Zeroth Dragon of Zenith Ultima and the Zeroth Dragon of Demise Dust, which are the Zeroth Dragons for the I forget what the other one is. The United Sanctuary and
Dark Zone.
Dark Zone, thank you.
Yep.
Dark Zone. And then we're also going to get Evil Bishop Gastile in this set. And then, of course, the big bad himself finally emerges. Dragon Deity of Destruction, Guys. Or Geese. Guys, Geese, whatever you want to say.
I think it's either Guys or Jize based on the Japanese or American pronunciation.
Jize. Let's go with Jize. I like Jize. Anyways. All right. So, Nate. Set. Lots of stuff to unpack here.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts? One, yeah, what do you like?
You better be quick on your pre-orders, or you better be buying cases, my friends, because it sounds like singles are going to be hot. Everything in there is a bestseller. Gear Chronicles is going to sell out. Shadows, Royals, Minerva stuff, Nubatama. I mean, even Dark Erags kind of have a solid following now. So, yeah, that set is just stacked.
Andrew, do you agree?
Well, the first thing I want to say is this set name is called Dragon Deities Chronicles, and Jize is called Dragon Deity. What was it?
Of Destruction.
Dragon Deity of Destruction, but OTT has a unit called the Dragon Destroyer Battle Deity Kamu Sasanuo. I'm actually going to disagree with Nate here about the cost of this set, specifically because there's a Jize and 6 SCR pack in this case, right? And everyone's sort of assuming that it's going to be all 6 Zeroth dragons reprinted as SCRs. And if that's the case, this pack is going to be the most expensive pack in Vanguard history. And pretty much a ton of the value of the case is going into that one, right? If it's just that one pack that's in the case, all of your value is going in there. And then that means that the price of singles is going to be, dramatically lowered. But
assuming that people buy the cases to get this one pack, I see both sides of the argument here. I'm actually going to go with this set being incredibly expensive, just because a set with one of these could sell out. Like it really. Oh man, I'm blurry. I get Bushiroad's strategy now. They were like, let's pump all the ones that we don't care about into clan boosters. Let's pump all the ones that we do care about in one set. And then they were like, oh, we forgot about Dark Irregulars. Oh, just go ahead and put them in there too. Like, Nubatama, Shadows. The Shadows and Royals alone could sell a set. Together. But you threw in the return of Gear Chronicle in the same set? Now we're cooking with olive oil. Now we're cooking.
Wait, you mean Return of Genesis? Because I'm like,
of course.
Return of Gear Chronicle? They haven't gone away since they came out.
I mean, it's been a while since we've seen them, so that's really good. So I do think that I want to wait and see what is in this pack. I agree that that's what it's going to be, but I want to see that confirmed. So let me ask you guys, what do you guys think about your the two Zeroth dragons that aren't Jize? What do you think about their arts? Do you think they look nice? I think they look nice. I think they're the best two looking ones that we've had. Andrew.
Let me think. It's the Dust and Ultima, right? Like Ultima's ones looks really cool. It's like some angel paladin thing, but it's got a lion face, and so I'm like, it's a little weird. But the artwork is gorgeous, right? Like the light framing is great. I'm not a huge fan of Dust. It's a little too symmetrical almost, and it's a little busy. But I mean, it looks pretty cool. So I think the artwork is fine. I really like the United artwork. I'm not a huge fan of the Dark Sun artwork.
That's fair. That's fair. I kind of agree with you, to be honest. What do you think, Nate?
I mean, yeah, they look fine. I still like the Stargate one more. The Stargate one looks amazing. So there's that.
All right. So let's jump away from this. Let's talk about speaking of Zeroth dragons. There's a new one. Yeah, some of you people keeping track, you guys probably realized I skipped one. I skipped a spoiler because I wanted him to be our topic. Every time we get a Zeroth dragon, I want to focus in on him, compare him to the other ones, what it means, and stuff like that. So, Zeroth Dragon of Death Garden, Zoa. But before I talk about this, just in case you were curious, there's been a special errata to the Zeroth dragons as an overall, just confirming that they also go away after you use them. There is no cards left in your G zone after you use them. So there's been an errata that confirms that. I guess some people were thinking that they keep their ZR face up in the G zone and they still get all their GB1 skills. No, you lose it all. So now we got that cleared up. So Ultimate Stride, Counterblast 2. When this unit is placed on Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, draw a card, choose a card from your hand, call it to rearguard. Until the end of turn, it gets continuous rearguard. This unit cannot be chosen by card effects, and its power will always be 9,900. 99,999. And auto rearguard when this unit deals damage to your opponent's Vanguard. Your opponent loses the game. That's our boy. That's the third Zeroth Dragon of the game. Nate.
Yes.
What do you think?
So I feel like I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I actually don't like him at all. I almost would not run him. And here's my logic. Okay, you got to follow me. Follow me on my train as I take you. Okay? So, it's cool. Yeah, you get a really beefy rearguard, like a really beefy rearguard, and it's immune to all like the Kagero nonsense that can go on. It's immune from hetero round. Like, you're golden. You're great. Really, the only way to stop it is a PG. But that's my problem. There is a way to stop it. I don't like that this is something where you are putting all of your eggs in this one basket. And if something goes wrong, if your opponent does have the PG, you're kind of screwed. Okay? Does that make sense? You with me?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So, to me, the only situation in which I would actually use this thing would be if I knew that my opponent could not guard this attack. And honestly, if I have my opponent in that situation, I feel like there are just better cards I can go into at that point, depending on which deck I'm playing, be it Great Nature or Neo Nectar or Mega Colony. I feel like if I am at the certainty level where I would be comfortable saying, okay, this rearguard has to hit or else basically my game is over. I mean, I just think there are better cards elsewhere in the decks that can do it and not risk losing GB and Stride and the game. Yeah. So that's what I think.
All right, Andrew, we'll throw it to you next.
Actually, Jose, let me hear your thoughts first, because I've got a bit of a train to go on myself after this.
So here's my thing. All right. I think that the Zeroth Dragons are really cool as a concept, but I think they're incredibly dangerous because if they're all incredibly powerful with no weaknesses at all and no Achilles heel, then that's it. That's the end. That's the end of where Vanguard ends, because one per nation cards that are incredibly powerful and have no weakness, that's the end of the line. Go home. No more new mechanics. This is it. Have that. So let me go ahead and knock that down here. But let's look at the cards, all right? I think that each one has been more from a strict in a vacuum. Let's take them out of their nations and let's take them in. So I'll review this one similar to how I reviewed the last one. One, does it speak to the spirit of the clan? Kind of. This one's a little weird because, like, I don't see the essence of Mega Colony anywhere here. I see a lot of Great Nature. I see no Neo Nectar. And I see maybe a little bit of Mega Colony. This could have been very well the GB8 for Great Nature, as far as like I'm concerned. Doesn't really capture the spirit of the nation. So Drachma is the one that captured the spirit of the nation the most. Megiddo kind of does, but in a weird, like, obvious way. Megiddo is the most usable Zeroth Dragon. Drachma is the most, like, oh, wow, kind of Zeroth Dragon. This one, Zoa's the, like, I agree that everything that Nate said is very valid. It has an ultimate Achilles heel. Oh, I guess that's true. The power lines are where you get, where Neo Nectar is here. But when I think of Neo Nectar, I don't think about power. I think about duplication. And there's nothing about duplication here. But I digress. Back to my point here. So the thing about Zoa is, yes, it has this massive Achilles heel. But it is the one of two cards, or very few cards in Vanguard history, very few, that will end the game. No 6 damage heal, no survival, nothing. Now, I agree. Nate brings up a very good point. There might be other cards that you can use in a situation where he doesn't have a PG that might end the game, but they might not end the game. This one's the only one in that list that does. There's no coming back. If he hits, you lose. That good day, sir. Put up your cards away, walk away. Now, so let me ask you this question. Let's say you're put in a position where you know your opponent doesn't have any PGs. He doesn't. He's either used them all, 2 of them are in the drop zone, 2 of them are in the damage zone, 1's in the drop zone, whatever. He doesn't have it. You know with almost all certainty. Actually, you know with certainty. And you're one of these 3 nations playing, and you have a choice between this card and one of the other OP cards. I've seen triple heals before. I've seen it happen. But you can't come back from death. You just can't. And that's why I like this card. It's 1 slot. That's all I'm saying. It's 1 slot. You can flip it if you don't think you're going to use it. Because there are so many cards that flip other stuff. I would have it in my G zone because there's no better way to end the game than to just end the game. Andrew, I pass it off to you.
All right. So I'll take one of your points first in that representing the spirit of the nations. I actually think it does. So obviously the 99999 power is like the great nature thing. It's like, okay, get a bunch of power. Neo Nectar is compensated by like the on stride, draw a card and call it. That's very Neo Nectar, like stuff coming out of the top of the deck, and sometimes it's partly Neo Nectar at least. What makes this card Mega Colony is guard or die. Because remember, Mega Colony used to run entirely on the back of a card called Force Spear Mutant Deity Stun Beetle, where if it hit you, your Vanguard would not do a single thing next turn. It could not stand, you could not ride, and it could not stand, you could not ride. So your striding would be useless. So that's the Mega Colony side, is like you guard this or you lose. That's Mega Colonies. But I see a lot of people comparing this card to like Zeroth Dragons and like comparing power levels like in a vacuum. And yes, in a vacuum, I completely agree with Nate. This card is very weak. It is a horrible card to Desperation Stride into. It's like, oh, your last card in hand's the copy of the grade 3 you need to stride. And it's like, well, like Desperation into ZR just to try to win the game. It's terrible for that. Megiddo is much better for that. Drachma is even better for that. But the point I'd like to make is that not in a vacuum. The interesting thing about the ZRs as a whole so far is not that they're incredibly powerful, but that they warp the way that your opponent has to play the game because these cards exist, right? Like with Drachma, like they want to hold a grade 3 in case you Drachma so they can rewrite a grade 3, use G guards, stride the next turn. Or else they're at a severe disadvantage. Megiddo, they want to stay at low damage because then when Megiddo comes out, it's like, oh, well, you can take a damage and hope for a trigger and makes all the guarding a lot easier. And then Zoa forces your opponent to keep a perfect guard in hand at all times, right? And I think at first I really didn't like this card because I'm like, oh, a PG just stops it. And it looks really weak on the surface. But I've come to really like this card as a concept, and you definitely run it in your G-Zone, because of what it makes your opponent do. Your opponent now is forced to always hold a PG in hand. Like you might not know it, right? But like they're forced to always hold a PG for fear of Zoa coming down and bashing them with a 999 that they're not going to G-Guard. They can't G-Guard that. That's going to take like 7 cards, right? It'd be like 2 G-Guards and 5 10Ks. And so imagine a card in your G-Zone that says, as long as this card is in your G-Zone, your opponent may not perfect guard unless they show you they have a second copy of perfect guard in their hand. That's what Zoa says, and that card would be broken, right? And so the big thing about Zoa is that your opponent wants to perfect guard your big attacks. Like you go into Great Nature, you get like a giant big belly swing. Your opponent's like, I really want to perfect guard this. And then they think, oh no, but Zoa's in there. And if I use my only perfect guard, then Zoa's going to kill me. And so the sheer fact that Zoa exists artificially, not artificially, but like inherently powers up the rest of your strides, right? Like the rest of your strides are now more threatening because they can't just automatically go like, oh, I'll perfect guard this and be okay. They have to think, wait, Zoa might be coming. I might have to save this perfect guard for that instead. And so starting the game with only 3 perfect guards in deck because Zoa exists, that's strong. And that's why I think Zoa is a good card. Not because she herself is a good card, but because the threat of Zoa is so implicitly strong that it makes her existence itself the strong part of the card.
May I interject?
What you got, Nate?
Yes, feel free.
So I'm going to say I like this card kind of the way you're talking about. I'm thinking of it very differently. I'm thinking of this very much as a Seabreeze-esque card. Your opponent doesn't have to know that you're running this card. All your opponent has to know is that you're running a Zoo clan. So in theory, your opponent has that psychological issue whether you run this card or not. Just knowing that card's out there does that to your opponent. So in a lot of ways, this card actually allows clans like Great Nature and Neonectar, really not so much Mega Colony, who have really decent, in Great Nature's case, really good GB8 units. You know, you can kind of get some sneaky with it, like, oh, my opponent's going to be holding on to that PG because they think I'm playing Zoa. I'm actually playing a GB8 that just turns every line into a death line. So I don't agree that you have to run this card to get that same psychological effect. That effect is there. It's the Seabreeze effect. It's just whether you'll be ready to call the bluff if they don't call yours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, see, I actually really agree with it. I was thinking about this a few days ago in that it's a weird... The ZRs introduce a weird psychological metagame, right? Like, we know Megiddo is going to be running every Megalontica clan. That's for sure, because Megiddo is just a really strong card in general. But Drachma, right? Like, I've seen more games lost by striding to Drachma than won. And I've played a lot of games against Drachma on CFA over the past couple of weeks. And more often than not, Drachma tends to lose the game whenever I see it. And so, but like, if you don't hold the grade 3, then like you're probably still going to lose anyway, even if there's just desperation Drachmaing, right? And so it warps the way you play the game. And so it's a weird psychological game where it's like, are they going to go into the ZR? And Zoa is the sort of ultimate manifestation of that, where, okay, well, you know that they're almost certainly not going to go into Zoa most of the time, because if they do, they're probably going to lose. But if they have it and you don't account for it, you're going to lose the game. So there's a really interesting psychological metagame now, where it's like, if you're a really good if you're an average player, you're like, I got to worry about Zoa, hold a PG. If you're a really good player, you're like, I know they're probably not going to go into Zoa. Do I need to worry about, like, check their playstyle, see if they're the kind of person that's going to go into Zoa, or if they're the kind of person that's trying to trick you to think they're going to go into Zoa. And that adds an interesting layer to the metagame.
So, I hate you both because you both took the points I was going to say. Because what Andrew said at the beginning made me instantly think of what Nate said, which was Seabreeze. Because think about how people played Vanguard before the card even existed. Before the card existed, there were very rare times I wouldn't just stay on a grade 2 for one turn, just in the chance. Because a bad player, these little things, these little details, are what sometimes I love about Vanguard. These little things, the psychological little things that will separate an experienced good player or an inexperienced or a bad player. Like these, people always ask, like, how do I get... Well, after you learn how to play the game and you played the game a lot, the difference between good players and bad players are the little things, the minute things, the things that you usually wouldn't think about. And Andrew is a good player. Nate is a very good player. So they see this card, they're like, yeah, it's going to affect the way I think, but it itself isn't very hard. So it's just an adjustment of mentality. And that invites challenge, which is why they're both kind of excited for it. But when Seabreeze first came, if you misrode and they rode to grade 3, you get first stride. You'll win in a lot of those kind of situations. But now, when Seabreeze existed, you either had to be like, okay, can I afford to ride another grade 2 to get the first stride? My grade 3 and just wait it out and see what happens. Does he even have the Seabreeze? I don't know if he has it. Does he have it? Does he not have it? I don't know. And those are the kind of threats that those type of cards existed. And I'll agree with you that here's my caveat. So more games are lost than won with that Andrew said with Drachma. Andrew's a good player. I don't think there was an instance, or if there was, it was very rarely, where he didn't try to keep a grade 3 because he knew that card existed. Am I right or am I wrong, Andrew?
I tried. Most of the time I failed. I would be forced to write a grade 2, and then I would win anyway. It was really weird. But like Drachma is not an advantage gaining card, right? It's supposed to be like a pseudo try to end you now and then go. But a lot of the times they Drachma when I'm at like 4, and I'm just like, well, I either have a PG for the Drachma swing, or I played my outs, take the hit, and they don't check a crit. And I'm just like, well, your Drachma just didn't do anything there. Good job. And then they lost. So but yeah, like it's yeah, you're definitely right in that I try to keep a PG, try to keep a grade 3 in hand. I'm certainly going to be trying to keep a perfect guard against Zoas. We don't even know what Stark's going to do yet, so we'll see. But I'd like that all the Zeroth Dragons right now are encouraging, all three encourage you to play the game suboptimally just because they exist, right? Keep PG, keep heal in hand, or keep PG in hand, keep 3K3 in hand, keep at a low damage. Like they encourage you to play the game in a suboptimal manner, in a way that you wouldn't want to play necessarily, just because they exist, even if they don't actually stride into them. And I really like that. I'm really interested to see what the next 3 are going to be.
I kind of like it too. And I also like the fact that Zoas aren't these overpowered units, that they're these win or lose. They're these immediate, I don't want to say desperation, but they're the, all right, I'm putting it all on the table. It's this or it isn't. Because we already had cards that are supposed to be the, when I slam this on the table, like I'm should have pushed it into you. Those were called GB8s. We had them. They were good in a lot of cases, and they work really well. But these are different. These aren't those types of cards. These are I'm throwing all my chips on the table. You're going to put all your chips on the table, and we're going to see who comes out at the end of this. And that's basically what that is. Now, granted, our friend, the Venezuelan Jank, he built a build of Kagro that he says is doing pretty well for him. That like slams, he slams Drachma like second stride, and then or second or third stride, and then just sits on the cross and wins games. Maybe that works too. I don't know, but the point is, that's all I'm saying. I'll leave it up to last words, Nate. You have any last words there?
Sure. I guess I'm just a cautious player, and I would rather play on your own psychological pitfalls than actually have to run this card in most situations. But yeah.
Yeah, we've got 3 more Zeroth Dragon, and who knows what they are gonna do.
Well, we can speculate, but at this point we have no idea.
We have no idea. So, and with that being said, with the fact that we're finally establishing that we have no idea what we talk about, let's open things up for the hashtag Ask Absolutions. Feel free to send us your dying questions, and I'll either throw them to the panel or answer them myself.
All right. I actually want to make one last point about the ZRs here, in that where you're saying like, you know, it's all on the table. Show me what you got, win or lose, right? If anyone here watches like Hold'em Poker or something, knowing when to all in is a very crucial skill in Hold'em Poker, right? You may not have the perfect hand, but if you think your opponent is worse than yours, you can all in on a weaker hand and still win, right? They will either fold or call you and fail, right? Like, part of Vanguard is the variance. You won't always know, and that's the fun of card games, is that it's not a perfect information game. You don't know what's in their hand. You don't know what's on top of their deck, but you can make educated guesses. And then when you sense that it's time to go all in, that's what these ZR Dragons are. It is an all-in play. Not necessarily desperation, but it's always all in.
I think that's a great analogy, actually, Andrew. I think that's a beautiful way to put it. Great players know when to go all in, and sometimes going all in doesn't mean you have the perfect setup. It just means you have a better setup than he does. That's a good point.
I have a pair of 2s. What about you?
Hey, pair of 2s
I'm
beats
just
ace
short
king.
of a pair of 6s.
Pair of 2s beats ace king when the flop is 4, 5, 6.
All right, so hashtag Ask Absolution. What do you think of Gise being a Cray Elemental now since Cray Elementals are in set 14? Wait. I'm so confused as to what this question is. So, what do you think of Gise being a Cray Elemental now that Cray Elementals are in set 14? As well as Blaster Support and Alfred as a stole 2 of in Royals for Luck. Oh, okay. So these are 2 different questions. So let's start with the first one. Gise being a Cray Elemental. I think it's very likely. Anything else? What about you, Andrew?
I think maybe I can't really see him being a Cray Elemental per se. He might have like the text Cray Elemental, and then he'll be like a reverse Cray Elemental or something, like a corrupted Cray Elemental. It might be a new super text. He might be just a card that says any deck can run this card and not have a clan. Who knows? He might be the start of a brand new clan.
That'd be interesting. That'd be spicy. I like that. All right. Nate, you got any ideas?
Nope. Stop trying to predict Bushy Road.
It
never goes well.
We can't predict them anymore.
Blaster Support. I don't know if we're going to get Blaster Support. I don't think so, actually. I really don't.
All Seekers.
Jewel Knights.
Because just think about it this way. They announced a new Shiranui, a new Atmile, a new Minerva. I mean, I guess we could wait and see if we get more news in the future. But it seems like they're going pretty heavy because they're reprinting Atmile and they're getting a new Atmile. So it seems like they're going to go in on a Brave on this set. Now, would I like Blaster Support? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean we're going to get it. So, yeah.
Blasters will probably get like 1 card at like rare or something. Maybe 2 cards, right? Because a lot of times they try to throw like sort of minor support like that. They'll get like 1 rare and like 2 commons.
With G ending, how do you think we'll get the Striders who don't have their 3rd form by GBT 14? Who won't have them?
Most things. Well, most things won't have 3rd stride for them. Gavril only got 2. Luard only got 1 or 1, 2.
1.
1. Yeah. Vortimer, not Vortimer. Clarasaur got 2. Like most clans will only get 2. I don't think we're going to get 3 for most clans, and most clans don't need 3. It's fine. Most clans, I think, are probably just going to only have 2.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. Hashtag Ask Absolution. With the Awakening Zoo fully spoiled, what do you think of this set and this type of set as a whole? I like it. It gets a thumbs up from me. Andrew?
I like nation sets. They're cool.
I also like nation sets. Nate?
Sure. It's support. Take that.
How else would Mega Colony have gotten support? That's my thing. Only in a nation set would Mega Colony get this kind of support. The support it got. True love. It got in this set.
Overwhelming support.
So, hashtag Asking Absolution. Any decks that you all want to build in the coming sets? Taking that I just dropped a ton of cash building Chaos and updating, finally getting around to updating Nubas. I'm good until Stargate. I am happily content, except for getting my 1-of Drachma for Nubas. Nate, anything in the coming sets?
Not particularly. It all looks cool, but nothing's really speaking my language. If you get what I mean.
They'll probably upgrade Novas.
Yeah.
They'll probably upgrade Novas.
Shadow Paladin support.
Not unless they reprint literally every Luard card.
But what if Diablos get the heat? The heat of Fajita?
Okay, then maybe.
What about you, Andrew? Anything you're looking into?
I'll probably get the cards for Angel Feathers because I like Angel Feathers even if it's not good. I might get the ZRs that we need for the clans that I need, and then Stargate for deleters if we get any support in deleters, and then for me, I'm probably just gonna wait till whatever the new series is or Bermuda Triangle comes out, whichever one comes first.
Wait, but also was it Was it like I totally forgot? Was it like the clan pack from Ideal, like only like $30 for
No,
Angels?
Angels was like like 75.
It's still not bad. Like
No, that's way too. It's way too expensive. It's supposed to be like 50.
oh, okay, maybe so.
I'd expect it to go down. I expect it to go down. No one wants Angels.
Now that Zoo has been fully revealed, is there anything that you were sad didn't make it into the final wave of support of G support? I guess I'm kind of sad that like I don't know. I don't understand the question.
Oh, specifically for the Zoo Booster Nation, Zoo Nation clans.
I think
Because this is the
everybody
last. This is the last that Zoo's gonna get, right, until the end of the series here.
Yeah, there's nothing I'm really disappointed in. I mean, a new Leopold would have been nice, but that's about it.
Maidens of didn't get a single card in the Zoo Booster, so that's frustrating. Oh well. That's it.
Hashtag Ask Absolution, Nate in particular. With Shadows back in the main set, is it possible that we may see Shadow Blasters, Phantom, Diablo? And if we do, what would you want to see? Which one?
I mean, sure, it's possible. It's bushy. Anything's possible. They're bringing back Minerva. Who knows? As far as what I would want, I mean, all of the strides Shadows have, that Luard has access to, Diablo has access to, so no new strides. Really, Diablos just need an advantage engine like Luard to be competitive. So yeah, give me a Belial clone, give me some new PGs because I really want some more, and yeah, I'll be good.
Belial clone. Please stop.
So, hashtag Ask Evolution. How is Purge ever going to be affordable? I've not been able to update in like 7 months.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
It's just gonna be. It's gonna be like Luard was back when Luard was fresh and new, and everyone was on that hype. Everyone's just gonna play it. And that's just gonna be the end of that.
Welcome to top tier.
All right, and I think that's pretty much everything. Who do you think is going to use the United Sanctuary ZR in the anime? I hope it's. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, it's got to be It's got to be what's his name? The Safeguard guy. It's got to be him.
Daigo.
It's got to be Daigo. It's got to be Daigo.
Why?
Daigo's got to show up and he's got to be different, and he's gonna be like, "Drop it the ZR." Dude, if it's Daigo, oh, I would be so happy. It could also be, I guess, whoever plays the Genesis.
I mean, it could be the Shadow dude that plays with Chrono. It could be the Gold dude that plays with Chrono. It could be anyone. It could be the Trinity Dragons dude just sweeping in and ba-bam. Who knows?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much right now for watching. We hope that you enjoyed. You can always find us on Facebook as well as the Discord. This is the Phantom Nate, the Sixth Ranger, and the Captain signing off. Peace.